1. The Whispering Lock. Ethan was a locksmith and a damn good one. He had spent years mastering the craft, learning every intricacy of tumblers, pins, and the secrets they concealed. It was during a routine job at an estate sale that he found it, a rusted ancient lock sitting atop a pile of discarded trinkets. Something about it drew him in. When he held it in his palm, a strange whisper drifted through his mind, soft as breath but unmistakably clear. "Ethan, find the key." The voice sent a chill through his bones. He laughed it off, chalking it up to fatigue. Yet that night, as he lay in bed, the whisper returned. "Find the key. It's waiting." Sleep evaded him. The next morning he examined the lock again. No markings, no brand, just old iron eaten away by time. He took it to his workshop and tried every key he had. None fit. Over the next few days, the whispering grew more insistent. It called to him in his dreams, in the silence between his thoughts. "The key is close. Find it. Unlock the door." His obsession led him to a small antique shop in town. As soon as he entered, his breath hitched. Behind the counter, resting in a glass case, was a key. A simple thing, tarnished and plain, yet Ethan knew it belonged to his lock. The old shopkeeper regarded him warily. "That key's not for sale. I need it." Ethan's voice came out hoarse. "I'll pay whatever you want." The old man shook his head. "You don't understand. Some locks should stay closed." But Ethan was past reason. He handed over a wad of cash. The shopkeeper hesitated, then with a sigh, slid the key toward him. "Don't use it," the old man warned. "Once you do, there's no turning back." 2. The Forgotten Room. The key fit perfectly. As Ethan turned it in the lock, a sharp click echoed in his ears. The whisper stopped. For the first time in weeks, silence filled his mind. Relief flooded him, until he noticed something strange. He was still in his workshop, but the door in front of him was not one he recognized. The lock had embedded itself into his own wall, forming a door where there had been none. Trembling, he pushed it open. Beyond the threshold was a room that shouldn't exist. The air was thick with dust, the scent of decay clinging to every surface. Shadows pooled in the corners, moving when he wasn't looking directly at them. There was furniture, an old rocking chair, a table, a mirror. And on that table, a journal lay open, its pages filled with spidery handwriting. Ethan stepped forward, drawn by an unseen force. The words on the pages were erratic, frantic. "I hear them in the walls. They watch me from the mirror. They are waiting for the door to open, and when it does, they will be free." A chill wrapped around Ethan's spine. He turned to leave, but the door was gone. He spun, his breath quickening. Shadows lengthened and slithered toward him, creeping like hungry things. The mirror, dusty and cracked, began to tremble. Something inside it moved. 3. Echoes of the Unopened. A soft creak behind him made him freeze. Then a whisper. Not the one he had heard before. This was different. Lower. Hungrier. He spun, but the room was empty. The shadows trembled as if laughing. Desperation clawed at him. He ran his hands along the wall, searching for a way out. His fingers brushed against something cold, another lock identical to the first. and beside it, embedded in the wood, was a keyhole. The moment he touched it, a piercing scream erupted from the walls. Ethan recoiled, covering his ears. The screams continued, a chorus of agony that shook the very air around him. But then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The silence that followed was worse. Heart-hammering, Ethan realized he still held the key. He hesitated. If turning the first lock had brought him here, what would turning this one do? But he had no choice. He slid the key in and turned it. The world lurched. For the key that follows. Ethan was back in his workshop. The door was gone. The lock was gone. Everything looked normal except for one thing. The key sat on his workbench, gleaming as if it had never been touched by time. A wave of nausea hit him. He grabbed the key and threw it into the furnace, watching it glow red-hot before disintegrating into ash. Relief settled in his chest, until he turned around and saw it sitting right where he had left it. A shiver ran through him. He could feel something watching. 5. Unlocked midnight. Ethan tried everything. He buried it. He threw it into the ocean. He locked it in a safe and hurled it off a cliff. No matter what, the key always returned. Then one night an envelope arrived. No return address. Inside was a note. Turn it at midnight, but don't look behind you. His hands shook as he picked up the key. He didn't want to, but he knew he had to. He waited until the clock struck 12, then pressed the key into the final lock, the one embedded in his own front door. As it turned, a gust of freezing air rushed past him. Behind him, something moved. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, his pulse pounding. The urge to turn around was unbearable. Then he heard it. A whisper right at his ear. "Welcome home." The lights flickered. The air grew heavy, suffocating. Shadows slithered along the walls, closing in. His breath came in ragged gasps as invisible fingers brushed against his skin. He couldn't take it anymore. He turned and saw. The next morning, Ethan's house stood empty. The door was locked from the inside. The key lay on the doormat, waiting for the next soul to claim it. Waiting for the next whisper to begin. A shadow flickered behind the window, unseen. Waiting. Hungry.